going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and thanks to a gentleman named Joe Bourbon in my Discord, selfless plug, check out our Discord link in the description below, I was able to finally get my hands on this Penelope Architect. He brought it to me at work. I gave him some gelati. Everybody was happy at the end of the day, but everybody knows before we get started, let's pour this up, and time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. It's going to do good. So here's the deal. If you haven't been keeping up with the channel, about a week ago, I met up with a Facebook group called PA Bourbon Squad. Shout out PA Bourbon Squad if you're not already part of the group and you're in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware area. Make sure you follow PA Bourbon Squad on Facebook. We met up. We exchanged samples. One gentleman gave me a blind sample. I didn't know what it was. I tried it out on the channel. I reached out to him. I said, hey, what is this? He says it's Penelope Architect. And from then on, I knew I had to make sure I got a bottle of this. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about Penelope during the Bourbon Bomb of the Week, so make sure you stick around for that. But let's go over a few of the details on this particular bottle. First things first, this is Penelope's signature 4-grain. This is coming out of MGP. We know that. We know it's about 4 to 5.5 years old. We know it's 75% corn, 15% wheat, 7% rye, and 3% malted barley. This is a staves project, so they're putting 2 different staves in this. They have 2 staves. One is a delicate, one is an intense. One gives you low tannin, one gives you medium tannin. Now, we're going to talk way more about these staves during the Bourbon Bomb of the Week, like I mentioned, but make sure you stick around for that because we've got a lot of information for you coming from, thankfully, the Bourbon Judge. If you're not already following the Bourbon Judge here on YouTube, make sure you check him out. But let's get into our first taste here, or our second taste, actually, and give you a price, taste, drinkability score when it comes to this Penelope Architect. So as you may or may not know, I start with drinkability on the channel just to get that out of the way. This coming in at 104 proof. It is not the best, but it's not the worst when it comes to drinkability. I'm starting to realize that my sweet spot on proof is that 100 to 115 range. Anything over 115, I really have to be in the mood for, and anything lower than that, I don't really feel like I'm getting the actual flavor profiles that I like, or the boldness of the flavors that I do really enjoy, so I like to stick to that 100 to 115 proof range. That being said, I think that the flavor profile does help the drinkability on this. I think the French oak staves, as well as that high wheat content, really give you a lot of sweetness behind this, which dilute that ethanol just a little bit, and just enough to keep it reasonable. Now, I'm not going to tell you for 104 proof that there aren't better, easier drinking bourbons out there, but I will tell you that you're getting a very, very good, intense flavor profile to back up the ethanol kick that comes with this. I don't think I would quite call it a Kentucky hug. It's not warm all the way down, but on the back of the mouth, it does give you a little bit of that ethanol kick. And for being a lower rye and that 7% rye, we can't equate it to that. But again, with those French oak staves and that high wheat content, I think that's really helping out the ethanol kick here. I'm going to give it like a 8.2 when it comes to drinkability on this. Now up next, we're going to get into taste on this, and if you know anything about me, you know I'm not the biggest wheated fan. Obviously, I like the Wellers of the world, but until I tried Larceny Barrel Proof B521, I didn't really understand how good a wheated bourbon could be. Now, this is a 4-grain, so this is basically bringing everything I love into one bourbon here. Being that higher wheat content and a little bit lower rye, you still get that rye spice, but you still get a lot of sweetness on this. I think Larceny B521, from what I remember, would be a very good comparable. This is almost like a lower proof Larceny B521, at least for me, when it comes to the flavor profile on this. But let's talk about some of those flavor profiles that you do get. You get a lot of floral notes that you love from the 80 proof version of this. You get vanillas, you get caramels, you get an oak, but it's a sweet oak rather than like a dense, heavy oak or anything like that. You get a lot of creaminess on this as well, which I think really balances this out. And again, that rye spice is just enough to give you a hint of that. I think, again, this is something that reminds me a lot of a Larceny B521. And again, if you remember how much I love that Larceny B521, this is going to score absolutely fantastic when it comes to the flavor profile on this. When it comes to taste, I have to give this a great score. Again, you might be sacrificing a little bit of ethanol kick to get that flavor profile as intense and how good this is. You're definitely doing it with the stave project that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but this is literally the blueprint, Architect blueprint, which is why they have the blue label. This is literally the blueprint of what I enjoy when it comes to bourbon, and I'm going to give this a great score when it comes to taste on this. We got to put it in the 9s. Let's give it like a 9.57 when it comes to taste on this, and I do think it's that damn good. And last but certainly not least, we're going to get into price on this. And the price on this bottle is $60 MSRP. I paid 60 plus tax, came out to a cool 65 plus a cherry gelati, and it's not a bad price if you ask me, but I always talk about comparables. What else is out there in the world right now for this price tag? We've already talked about Larceny Barrel Proof. That comes in at $50 at least for now. We have Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and while it's not my favorite, I understand the concept of bang for your buck, and it definitely meets that criteria. We have stuff like Henry McKenna Single Barrel. We have Blanton's in that $60 price tag. We have stuff like Eagle Rare, which is a 10-year, which is down to that $30, $35. So I understand between $35 to $60, there is a lot of bourbon that you can drink that is very good. But I will tell you that this bourbon is also very good. So I think it competes with everything that we've talked about over the last couple of minutes. That being said, we also have to look at Penelope as a company. First of all, they are very transparent about everything that they have. They are literally doing a live stream right now with the Bourbon Judge. If you're not already following the Bourbon Judge on YouTube, make sure you check him out. If you're not watching the live stream right now, make sure you go rewatch the live stream with Mike and Danny from Penelope. Absolutely fantastic live stream. Some of the information that I'm going to give you for tonight in the Bourbon Bomb of the Week is going to come from their live stream. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm stealing content. This is how I get information. I follow other people. I listen to other people. I watch the live streams. So Penelope is doing great things. They're very transparent. Like I mentioned, all of this is literally on their website. You can print this out. They've got a one-page paper of everything that's going on. They've got the overview, the about us, the bourbon facts for the architect, aroma, forward notes, body notes, finish. It's all on here. By the way, we didn't talk about the finish when it comes to this, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's a very long finish. Oak. A lot of oak on this finish, which I didn't get in my actual blind sample, but for this one, I get a lot more oak. All that being said, I know I talk very fast. It's just the way I speak. I don't know why I'm like this, but I think that the price is fair when it comes to this bourbon. I don't think they're overcharging you. I don't think they're making $1 million off this bottle. I think they're doing what they have to do to be competitive and to also be fair to the consumer. And in the bourbon world right now, that is a huge plus when it comes to Penelope. So I'm going to give them a very good score on price. I'm going to put it in the high 8s again. I'm going to go 8.96 when it comes to price on this. But listen, while I add these scores up, let's send it over to this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week and learn a little bit more about Penelope, but specifically this Architect series, thanks to the Bourbon Judge. Cheers. So the main thing about this Penelope Architect series is going to be the French Oak Staves finish. And the important thing about this is the company Speyside Cooperage, which I believe is out of Kentucky, is owned by another company out of France. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name from the French company because I know I'm going to mess it up, but I will put it on the screen. They are big into wine, and they talked to the gentleman at Penelope about using these French Oak Staves for their whiskey. Now, the biggest thing about these staves is they are chemically analyzed, and what that allows them to do is make very consistent batches when it comes to these French Oak Staves. So if they do the two types of staves that they put into this particular bottle or in this particular barrel, they can actually replicate that exact barrel by doing this again because they are chemically analyzed. That's not what you normally get. Normally you toast it, you hope it's something similar, you hope it's the same process, and then when you repeat it, you hope it's at least close enough that people can't tell the difference. But for this process, for this technology that they're using, they are literally chemically analyzing this to make sure each particular barrel, each particular batch is getting a very, very, very similar French Oak Stave. And when it comes to the bourbon world, consistency is the most important thing. We already talked about the Toasted series from Penelope. They put out great whiskey when it comes to this Toasted series, but they have a lot of different toasted barrels. They have a level 5 char, they have a level 4 char, all the way down to level 1 char. They have a medium toast, a high toast, and a low toast. So all of these are going to differ across each barrel, across each batch. But for this particular process, what they're doing with this technology is being able to make this the most consistent bottle that they have time and time again, which is absolutely a great thing to know, because when I tried this bottle, I thought it was delicious, and I want to make sure that the next time I do get this bottle, that I'm getting something just as good. So shout out to the people at Penelope for being able to make this happen. Shout out to Speyside Cooperage for having this technology, and shout out to France for the French Oak Staves, because without it, we wouldn't have Penelope Architect. Let's get back and see what our score is for this and see where it fell on the ranking sheets. Cheers. So listen, there's a lot of good things that a company can do to get their name out there. Penelope happens to be very, very good at being on social media. They are very, very active in the community. They're on TikTok. They're reaching out on Instagram. You can probably DM them and ask them a question. They'll answer you within hours. They're always working 24/7. They love what they do, which is very, very apparent when it comes to any of these live streams. Danny and Mike being in the live stream tonight was fantastic. Matt was literally in the YouTube chat answering questions from the chat. A great touch that they had. Naming it after their daughter, Penelope. It touches me personally just because I have a 6-month-old daughter now. Her name's Haven. Maybe we work on a Haven bourbon in the future. Maybe we work with Penelope and do a barrel pick and name it Haven. Who knows? The options are endless, but Penelope is very good at what they do. And for this particular bottle, it came in at an 8.91. Not the top #1 bottle, but in the top 10, and I think a perfect spot for the Penelope Architect. But listen, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. If you want to help support the channel financially, check us out on Patreon. That link is in the description below. And if you want to come chat with us 24/7, we have a Discord link in the description below as well. Come chat with us. Tell us about your favorite bourbons. Please click that like, click that subscribe button. Don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly, and always stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. Till next time. So good.